Well, yeah, we've used photography and videos to create a whole lot of content for our company that's been very powerful and helped drive an incredible amount of interest.
Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it raw. It's basically a kind of a big rectangular box, mostly white. It has Boxable across the face of it, and it's sitting on a trailer bed. Is this the one from the Vegas show that you were talking about, or is this? So in it it's basically it's sitting on a red sort of trailer, and you've got the windows, and it doesn't look like a house. It looks like basically a folded up, what you'd think of as a house, because you can see windows, and just behind it you could just make out the height of a crane or something. So do you know which photo I'm talking about?
Yep. So that was that Vegas show. It was the units, I don't know, either arriving or departing.
Okay.
And us setting up, for that first show, and that's the crane that lifted it off the truck and set it up, and some more things went wrong at this point. Mainly, well, it wasn't that bad. The one of the lifting points where they lift the roof up snapped.
Oh,
it
no.
was like an eye hook.
Okay.
And it broke, and the whole roof collapsed and smashed down. It wasn't really much damage.
Right.
But so that's us hanging out in the parking lot of the show.
So so in terms of somebody who's listening to it now, okay, so how far along are you? Like in terms of Boxable units, have you actually sold and shipped a proper little house out to somebody?
No, not really. Essentially, all we've done now is, build prototypes for proof of concept.
Mm-hmm.
Because the pitch here is assembly line mass production.
Right.
If we were just building these by hand and selling them, it wouldn't really get us anywhere. So, we need that factory. So we just built the prototypes to prove the concept and build up interest. And then we're able to leverage ourselves into this factory that we are going to be turning on soon. And then hopefully we'll be selling. But everything we've built so far is just kind of models to showcase.
Right. And to go back into the factory thing. So I got a message, or I got a notification, or I read somewhere that you're working with Porsche to sort of partner with them for the robotics on this factory line, right?
Yeah, a pretty cool opportunity. We were able to hire Porsche, the car company, their consulting arm, where they have, hundreds of experts in factory production, and they actually set up all kind of different factories all over the place. So, we were a few guys who didn't have any experience in actually, building our own factory, but we had a plan to do it, and we needed to run it by the experts. So we brought them in, and they were extremely valuable in, confirming our plans and helping us tweak things and making smart recommendations of just very, stuff like how do you move around a big panel? How much shelving do you need? All these different things. What should the shape of the assembly line be to make it most efficient? So that's pretty good, and they're there ready if we need them again, and I'm sure we will.
Wow. So talk about like big picture concept, right? So in this massive warehouse space, you've got, let's say, just broadly speaking, on the left, you've got the raw materials, right? And in the middle, let's say you've got your massive robots who pick up the sheets and do the manipulation, create, I guess, walls, like the house walls, and then the floor and everything. And then the house is literally sort of stacked, put together on top of this production line. And so does it literally go from start to finish to produce one actual unit, or does it have to kind of be transported off one part of the line to another part of the line where humans have to come in and do actual, manual labor to assemble? Like, how automated is this?
Yeah. So, really, this initial phase is a very manual process. We eventually want to end up looking like an automobile factory. And if you've ever looked at that on YouTube or something, it's just amazing level of kind of custom automation and robotics. And, we want to get there, and we're planning a product that's compatible with that. But the initial factory we have is really mostly manual. We get a lot of benefit just from like off the shelf CNC cutting equipment. So it's different than a traditional house factory where you would have guys with nail guns, brewing together pieces of lumber. We have a laminated panel process where all of our raw materials are processed and cut by computer controlled equipment to very accurate tolerance parts. And then they're assembled together rapidly. Right away when we launch, those panels will be assembled by people with vacuum lift assistant. And then later on, we'll swap those out for robot arms, and then the house just kind of moves through these stages. So it's more about assembly line now than automation. But the plan is to get to that level of automation that you see in automobile manufacturing. For example, the Ford F-150 factory. There's a cool video that they put out where they advertise that they make one truck every 53 seconds. Our factory is planned to produce one house every 90 minutes.
Wow.
One day we can get to that 53 seconds, and it's just a matter of scale, and it's just going to be a massive, massive scale and capital investment that you need to get to that level. But we're going to do it, and the need is there. There's a huge housing problem and shortages, availability all over. So, we think we have a way to dramatically reduce housing costs and bring building manufacturing up to speed with other existing manufacturing processes.
Okay, well, so let's get a little deeper into this. Okay, so one of the big questions now. So one of the reasons why I reached out was because, as a case study, I have some land in British Columbia, right? And this nice property in British Columbia, and it's beautiful. It's perfect wooded, and then just trying to think of, what would we do? Would we put a camper van? Would we put something with we're looking for something with a low footprint, but because we're not wealthy by any stretch, we're looking for something affordable. And Boxable seems to be ideal in that you order this house, it's put on a train or put on a shipping truck. So, for example, in your video, you show towing it with a car, right? I think it's a Tesla or something. Is that just for show, or is that actually weight-wise, is that a feasible thing to do? So
the house should be like between maybe like 10 to 15,000 pounds, depending on the version of it. So that's dramatically lower weight than any other traditional manufactured housing because of the materials we're using, and we wanted to reduce the weight to make it less costly to move it around and the equipment you needed on site to set it up. Technically, a Tesla is not rated to tow that amount of weight, but you can do it. It's just because it's not rated to doesn't mean you can't do it. So we did it.
1 mile.
The battery was dead after 1 mile. We did it just to make a cool video. But you can tow these with a bigger regular pickup truck. And maybe even a Tesla pickup truck or a Tesla big rig if they come out with those in the future. So very important to get the best possible case we can. It's always going to cost money to ship them. We want to spend as little as possible on that part of it so that, we can really make the factory work for housing.
I'm worried that because I've seen the videos that sort of show how you basically unbox this house, right? Maybe that's not quite communicating for somebody who's listening. So have you explained that to people in terms of, if somebody says to you, you go to a party and they say, so what are you doing? And you say, well, I understand, like you're radically changing the economics of a house production by lowering massive costs. But how do you convey to somebody who's listening, you be like, what do you mean you unbox a house? What is that? So what do you mean? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe we should have told them that first.
Yeah.
But,
this is my interview style. We just kind of dive in and see where we end up.
Yeah, that's what I do too in life. I'm just winging it.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to engineer the biggest possible room module that we could, that would be able to fold up to become a highway legal load. So whenever you go to an oversized load, it gets very expensive, as I went into a little bit before. So the magic number is 8.5 feet wide. As long as you're less than 8.5 feet wide, the majority of those extra costs and fees go away. So our room modules fold up to 8.5 feet wide, but they unfold to 20 feet wide. So really great situation. And not only do they fold up to 8 feet wide, but we're still able to actually finish stuff inside of them. So this first room module that we're starting with, the first product, has a kitchen and bathroom inside of it when it folds up. So it's not just panels, it's not just walls and floors, everything's done in there.
It's fully furnished.
Yeah, we even get a fridge in there. So basically, if people go online later to boxable.com and see the video, they'll notice that although it folds up, not all of it folds up. There's about 5 or 6 feet by the length of the unit that's not folding. So we're able to finish stuff in the factory in that space, fold up all the empty space, because most houses and most rooms are mostly empty space, and end up with a very efficient thing where we engineered these really big 20-foot wide rooms with high 9.5-foot high ceilings that really don't have a lot of compromise in them to make the shipping possible. And yeah, we were able to fold them up, and now they can become a standard truckload and be compatible with all the existing shipping logistics, all around the world, whether it's a train or a truck or a boat. We just want to make this thing compatible with the roads and highways and existing infrastructure so that, we can ship them. And it's a really big deal because housing is really the last modern product that's not built efficiently in a factory. It's built very inefficiently by hand. And the biggest reason for that is it's too big. You can't build a huge house and ship it. It doesn't make any sense. So we have a solution to that where we'll build these rooms, fold them up, ship them, unfold them on site. It just takes a couple hours and they set up and they're ready to go. And then you can also stack and connect the rooms to build different custom buildings. So we think our system can build basically, for the most part, every building type on the planet, most building types with the system, starting with this little initial module that we're starting with, which is the smallest room module in our system. It's 20 feet by 20 feet with the kitchen bathroom in it. And then once you unfold it, you put a bed and a couch in too. And, the idea to start was to target California backyard housing. They call them accessory dwelling units. California kind of legalized everyone to put a house in the backyard of their main house. In an effort to, increase housing affordability and increase density. So they've just opened it up. They fully legalized it. You can do it. Pretty much every single backyard in California can put up another house in the backyard. So really cool place for us to start, rapidly growing new market where, these things can just be dropped into backyards all over the place.
So what's the environmental, like in terms of new materials and so for example, when we were looking at this house in BC to build ourselves, we're looking at hempcrete, we're looking at the cob houses, the issue is that, you make it yourself, but, which is, of course, it's very satisfying. And then we could also make sure that the materials are, environmentally less, impactful than say, standard, the normal products. But so what have you guys been doing around that in terms of, so obviously just by doing it through manufacturing, you're getting the economies of scale. So that's amazing. But what about the actual materials themselves? Like, have you been also looking at new materials to make more environmentally friendly options, or is it still according to the cheaper, more available materials out there?
So they're not built using the traditional lumber framing that you would see in most of North America. We use all different materials, and we had to serve a whole bunch of different requirements, and they're not always aligned. So, it has to be energy efficient, it has to be wind resistant, it has to be lightweight, it has to be water resistant, a whole list of requirements that we need. And, maybe if you make it more, less heavy, it's going to be more expensive, or, if you want to increase the energy efficiency, maybe the wind rating goes down, all these kind of things like that.
Yeah.
So we found a really good balance there. And, one of the good things about our product is it's extremely energy efficient, because the walls are made from a laminated panel, and the core of the wall is EPS foam, and the entire wall is made in one single laminated block, where the entire core is uninterrupted EPS foam. So you have this high energy efficiency insulation throughout the entire wall. And you don't have the lumber studs where you would lose energy in a traditional home. And it's also a very tight envelope where it kind of holds the air in. So tremendous energy efficiency on these houses.
Yeah. So one of the cool. Okay. So basically, when I saw what it looks like, it's kind of like you have this crane or this lift comes in, puts it down. Do you have to put it down on a secure standard foundation, or does it go pretty much anywhere?
Yeah, another cool thing that we were able to figure out, the house really doesn't need a foundation. It can go down on anything, on the grass, on the pavement. The floor is incredibly strong. In most cases, you will need a foundation if you want it to be a permanent, permitted house. In that case, these are compatible with any foundation type. Anything from a full slab to just like 4 piers on each corner, it's going to bolt onto it. Okay.
Yeah, so then it's really neat. It's kind of like, for me, it was like as a kid watching Transformers. You see this like rectangle, cube, or box. And then, like, as you guys say, well, within about 45 minutes to an hour, I mean, other than the heavy lifting equipment to position, I'm assuming, and to lift the walls, some of the walls, because they're on hinges, are moved by hand. I mean, it looks really like it's like unboxing this new device. It's like, okay, you unbox it, a new PS4 or a new iPhone or whatever, and you're just like, look at my new house, and inside it's finished. It's got so for me, for example, as a consumer, part of me is like, okay, well, I have this land on the other side of the planet from Hong Kong, and I'm thinking to myself, how do I get a sort of a habitation on this place where, let's say I have 2 weeks or 3 weeks of vacation, and I don't want to spend my whole, time, just, my vacation breaking my back. So, when I saw what you guys were doing, I was like, how compelling, just have it brought over by a barge or by a truck, and then just placed, and then within a day you could sleep in your own space. It's amazing.
Yeah, and what you said about the unboxing is true. What we have now is more of like a consumer product than a bunch of raw building materials. So, it sparked people's imaginations because they think of all the stuff that they wanted to do with buildings, and now it's like attainable. It's not as intimidating as building something from scratch. So, yeah, it's really exciting.
So is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw.